Bethlehem location.
Dr. Charles Smith, Director of Chiropractic Health Clinics, along with Dr. James Rinaldi, announced the addition of Dr. Colleen Cashel to their staff. We provide quality, state-of-the-art chiropractic health care in a friendly, caring, and informative environment. If you suffer with headaches, neck, back, shoulder, hand, wrist, sciatic, or disc problems, we may be able to help you the natural way. Our modern facilities are located on Route 57 in Stortsville and off of Main Street in Belvedere. Please drop in or give us a call.
WBPH-TV60, Bethlehem.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I'm Mick Moningoff, a very special edition as we preview the Easton-Peaburg 89th renewal of their age-old rivalry. It takes place at Fisher Field. Of course, you see it right here on TV60. Joining me today is Roger Snyder. And Roger, you had a chance to go out and talk to some of the players and coaches. We're not going to have them on the set. You caught them in their normal setting, and that had to make them feel a little bit better.
Mick, you know, when you talk to guys like Bruce Smith, what happened a lot more comfortable out here in a sweatshirt and my sweats rather than the coat and the tie when we normally catch them on the sets. You know, when we talk about this Easton-Phillipsburg Thanksgiving Day rivalry, truly one of the great events in all of high school sports anywhere in the country. This is a game that catches the imagination of fans throughout the area, has done so for 89 years, and this is to be no different. This is one of those games, Mick, you never know who's going to come out on top. You recall last year, coming into the game, it looked like Phillipsburg. Hey, they got it. I mean, they were there. That wasn't the case. Easton proved them wrong.
And I guess maybe we'll talk about that right now. Both teams coming in with 3 losses, Easton at 8-3, Peaburg at 5-3. They've played some less ball games. I guess you'd have to say Peaburg has them right where they want them. They'd be the decided underdog. They're all banged up. They were the favorite last year, and it didn't happen for them.
You know, that's exactly what happens. You might recall the year before Easton, a relatively heavy favorite, and the game ended up tied. And you can never tell when you come out here. A lot of times you can't judge it on the size of the kids. You can't judge it on the size of the squads. You can't judge it on their season's records. It all got to take place, and that's exactly what it's going to do. Fisher Field, 10:30 game time Thursday morning. And when you take all of the great traditions that are involved in terms of Easton and Phillipsburg. I know a little bit earlier last week, Connie Mazza, who is the principal over at Easton High School, and she said even the people from ESPN could not grasp and could not believe the way that these two communities respond to this particular game. Truly, it is a great event in Lehigh Valley history here, and this is going to be no different as the 89th meeting unfolds on Thursday.
Well, last season, as we talked about, was a great ball game, especially for, well, it was billed as the big game for Peaburg's running backs, Leonard Moore, Joe Luke, both 1,000-yard rushers. It didn't happen. The Easton backs were the guys who started in this ball game. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the 1994 edition of Easton-Peaburg. And one of the things that we're going to see early on is that Peaburg had the football, a bad snap, and a block punt, Roger, and that would lead to a major play in the ball game. It really got Easton off and running.
Well, you know, it was one of those things. This is a game where you can't make any kind of mistakes, and that's exactly what happened. And that block punt sets up this pitch, and look at Tyrone Randolph cut it up, and he goes all the way and takes it into the end zone for the first score on the part of the Red Rovers, and that had to take a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the State Liners.
Well, with Randolph off and running, he would end up with 190 yards rushing on just 11 carries in the ball game. Ironically enough, he couldn't play early in the season because he transferred in. So Peaburg lost a running back, and he went on to star for Easton. Brian Piperata got a chance to score in a real nifty run here. Look at the way he cuts back, Roger.
One of the things that you want to note right here is watch how he almost slips, bad footing, and manages to collect it back up and cuts it up. And what that really did was it set up all of those blocks as he was able to run behind his blockers.
And he's a guy who will be back because he is a senior. He has a chance this year with a couple more games remaining to wind up 6th all-time for Easton in the rushing yardage. He only needs 88 more yards to do that, so we'll see a lot from Brian Piperata. Well, another performer who's back this year is, Moore, who is not back. He is rushing for the Lafayette Leopards. Big run here, Peaburg touchdown. Nice play by Holmes, who is back for Easton, to catch him, keep him out of the end zone.
That was a great run that time by Leonard Moore. And obviously when you have two 1,000-yard rushers in your backfield, the ground game has got to be key, and you've got to be able to claw. Unfortunately, turnovers hurt the State Liners and gave the Red Rovers an opportunity for some early scores. As you get another look at the great run here by Leonard Moore, and he's been thrilling area football fans at the same field where he played so well here on Thanksgiving Day, Lafayette College.
Well, he has been the Patriot League Rookie of the Week for 3 straight weeks, and it's easy to see why, because he's got the size and strength. Here is a run by Joe Luke, who is also up at Lafayette. Joe Luke is the kind of player who this year is playing a wideout, so he can catch the football, he can run the football, and Bruce Smith walking up and down the sidelines. He knew he needed to score here, and I think he was going to get the ESPN for Scholastic Sports America. Leonard Moore takes a handoff, gets around the left end, and he was into the end zone. And Phillipsburg kept that game close early.
It really was, Mick, anybody's ball game as Phillipsburg came back, and it seemed as though they had gained a little momentum, but again, throughout the course of the day, it was turnovers that really made the difference on the part of the State Liners, and it was turnovers that really proved to be the downfall of the State Liners.
14-6 at the half. Phillipsburg had the football in the third quarter early, and they started a drive. They were deep in their own territory, but they went to the air. Keith Coleman was back to throw, and his back this season, so we'll see more of him this year, this time around, and it looked like the Liners were driving as they got close to midfield.
One of the things most coaches will tell you, it's the first 5 minutes of the third period, whether you're playing basketball or football, that make the difference in the ball game. It sets the tone, and here the State Liners had an opportunity to get back into the ball game. It looked like they were going to do that.
Lee Holmes.
Well, Lee Holmes was on that stop, and Phillipsburg was on the move, but the very next play, they tried to go upstairs again. Disaster struck. Nice hit by the Rovers, caused the fumble. Easton gets the football, and from there on out, the tone and complexion of that football game totally changed.
Phillipsburg found themselves on the short end, and one of the things that makes a difference here is you hand momentum off. And at this stage of the game, it went to Steve Shifford and his Easton Red Rovers.
Mike Bulmer going to get a chance to play here. On 2nd and 7, Bulmer gets outside from about the 35-yard line, and he was gone. Nobody caught Mike Bulmer, and Easton was on their way in the third quarter as they jumped out to what would be a commanding lead in this ball game. Took control, and they never let up.
One of the things we should point out again, Nick, is the fact that Phillipsburg had to be the overwhelming favorite coming into this ballgame. It looked like it was going to be Phillipsburg's year, and that wasn't the case. Easton took it away from them, and I guess we need to say that because this year perhaps the roles are exactly reversed.
So as Bulmer went around the end, the Rovers started their celebration, and rightly so. And coming up, we're going to hear Rogers' call on a Brian Pipparata touchdown.
Pipparata from his 45 cuts it outside. Vince Pipparata's gonna go all the way. Touchdown, Easton. They lead 28-0. The kick by Kendall Hockman was good. Here's another look from another angle. Pipparata saw it. Pipparata took it.
So the Easton Red Rovers were on their way in this ball game, and they were not going to look back. A good look at Brian Pipparata as Easton won this ball game handily, and it only sets up another big rematch. 34-6 your final score from last year. And Roger, as we talked about, revenge is on the minds now of the State Liners. This year they're coming in as a decided underdog, and like I say, maybe Bruce Smith has the State Liners right where he wants them.
You know, sometimes it's nice to be in that underdog role because you can more or less let it all hang out. You got nothing to lose. You can take the gadget plays, if you would, and you can do things that you might not normally do under normal game conditions. But hey, when you're talking Easton Phillipsburg, anything can happen, and that could be the case today. Perhaps that is the scenario that's being set up right now. Bruce Smith, you got to know, has been working on some things behind closed doors.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing I was going to ask, since you had a chance to go out and talk to some of the players and coaches, and we'll hear from them a little bit later, did you get that sense from Steve Shifford, the Easton head coach, that maybe he's got that in the back of his mind? He's a little bit worried, things like that?
Yes, I think that's right. And I think one of the things that you've got to know is the fact that all the time, when you're talking about this particular ball game, that both coaches know that this has got to be the thing. You've got to prepare for everything, and you never know coming into the ball game. Steve Schiffer not taking this one for granted. You can take that to the bank.
And the other thing I think that Bruce Smith's going to prepare for is last season you saw number 65, that was an offensive lineman, Chris Shannon, lining up in the backfield on the power eyes of blocking fullback. I wouldn't be surprised to see the tight end for Easton this year, Darren Smith, playing that same role for the Rovers.
I think you can count on the fact, again, that Bruce Smith is preparing his squad for that and looking at that as a definite possibility. It's when you pull out all stops. Phillipsburg will do kind of the same thing. A lot of times they'll take that tight end and almost put him in motion right behind the line of scrimmage, and many times if you follow him and key him, you can find where the play is going to go. Follow him.
Little shuffle step down the line. I'll tell you what, we have a chance to take a look at some of the highlights of players from the 1995 season for both teams who were involved in this year's 89th renewal of Easton Peaburg. Let's take a look at some of those players right now. And one of the first players that comes to mind has to be Justin Lockhart, who was a big running back for the Easton Red Rovers. He's the kind of kid who has size and speed and strength. Doesn't always carry the football, but he's a guy who can get outside or power it up the middle when he has to. And Justin Lockhart's going to be a force to be dealt with.
Well, last year, right here on Saturday,
Justin Lockhart, Nick, is one of those kids, a mature ball player and a mature individual, and a very tough kid.
Another guy who we saw from last year's ball game is Brian Pipparata. Again, he needs only 88 yards to become the 6th all-time leading rusher in Easton High School football history. He would pass Frank Lane if he's able to do that on Thanksgiving Day. And I'll tell you what, the way he ran the football last year and the way he has the cutback capability, he just might do it.
Brian Pipparata, you saw, is just so tough. He's such a great athlete. Great balance, as you saw in the one touchdown play last year where he almost slipped and still managed to maintain his balance and his control and then cut it up and went for the touchdown. Tough ball player. He's one of the keys for Easton.
Good look at Lee Holmes there, as Lee Holmes is a guy who can catch the pass in the flat. Once again, the Easton defense is predicated on making people turn the football over. Here you see Jabbar Curto fall on a fumble, and if the Rovers can cause havoc like they did last year against the State Liners, well, that's one of those keys to the ball game. Every coach wants to see a team, come up with turnovers.
When you can be plus in the turnover department, you always stand a good chance of having your team come out on top.
Look at Darren Smith here. He's the kind of guy who has got the size and the speed and the strength from the tight end spot. You let him carry the football, I'll tell you what, he's going to be a load to bring down.
This is a kid, Mick, that is absolutely solid. A big kid, as you had said. He's not real tall, but boy, is he put together, and a real load to bring down when he gets that thing rolling.
Kyle Geiger plays defense. He also is the quarterback for the Eastern Rovers. He's a tough guy to stop in goal line situations. You're going to get a good look at Kyle Geiger here. Goal line situation, he's not afraid to take it in himself.
Kyle Geiger and Keith Coleman remind me very much of each other in their maturity, in the way that they handle themselves, and in the way that they respond to situations. Tough kids, and it should be a good matchup at the quarterback spots.
Easton will throw the football. Here's an overtime game against Cumberland Valley. Here's the call.
Wants to throw to Curto to the goal line, and Easton wins down. Easton wins the ball game.
Easton won over Cumberland Valley in an overtime game, first game of the year. And I'll tell you what, Easton is not afraid to throw the football this year.
One of the things that you can afford football is you're able to provide a little word known as balance. And when you have balance, it makes it very tough for other teams to defend you.
So with Easton using their run sometimes to set up their pass, it's the kind of situation that I'm sure Steve Schiffer is relishing going into an Easton Peaburg game. Let's take a look at some Peaburg highlights. And I'll tell you what, they have had so many backs. Here you're taking a look at Brian Grace, who's a fullback. He's the kind of kid who gives them the power running inside that they need. But they have had more or less tailback by committee. Justin Samra has been coming off a leg injury. He opened up the season missing the first couple games, and here they give the ball to Alan Slack. So Slack is the kind of guy who you'll see getting some runs straight forward. Justin Samra is also a running back who's going to carry the ball a lot, but maybe not as much as Peaburg would like to see him get outside this year, because he's still gimping a little bit with that leg problem.
One of the things Phillipsburg obviously does this year is they use the pass to set up the run. And it is not the running game that is the strong suit for the State Liners this year, but you still got to be able to run the ball to keep the defense honest.
One of the players who will not be there this year is the tight end, Corey Tom, and they're going to miss him. Some season-ending injuries are going to keep him out of the Easton Peaburg game.
Tom, a big kid, and you're right, he will be missed.
Freshman Josh Clymer has been kicking this year, and he's doing a pretty good job. Had a field goal here, 29 yards against Warren Hills. Dave Hinkle had a hand injury, but it looks like he will be back, and that's a nice little route there. I'm sure we're going to see Hinkle going underneath. But the man who quarterback Coleman likes to hit more times than not is Mike Wilco, who has now become one of the all-time leading receivers in Phillipsburg Stateliner history.
As a matter of fact, he has become the leading receiver. This is a kid that has 68 catches on the year, over 1,000 yards, produces 70, figures into 79% of the offensive yardage, and produces 49% of the total offense generated by the Stateliners, and that doesn't count 4 interceptions and 17 returns of kickoffs for 155 yards.
If they can get runs like this out of Sammer, though, he might be the key to the ball game, because then you can't just key on Mike Wilco, and it keeps you away from double coverage situations. And you'll see Sammer here, he's limping a little bit as he gets up, because, like I say, when you come back from an ACL injury, that's a tough injury to come back from. Who is,
it goes to Kersey, and Kersey is close to the
you have Justin Kersey who's in the backfield well. He's the kind of character who will give you that 4, 5, 6 good yards up the middle. Again, tailed back by committee for the Stateliners. I don't know if that's what Coach Smith actually wanted, but that's what he has to work with.
Almost dropped the football.
Now we're going to look at Mike Welko. 2 touchdowns here coming up from Mike. Corner of the end zone there against Warren Hills for 6. And watch the routes coming up here. He's got the kind of speed, the agility, the cutback capability, not afraid to go over the middle as well. Let's pick up a call here on Mike Welko.
Now he goes in motion. Back to throw on a 2-step drop. Quick look to Wilco underneath, route complete. He's going to go. Touchdown, Mike Wilco from 26 yards out. His second touchdown reception of the night. And the Phillipsburg Stateliners have broken.
Roger, if they can get the ball in Mike Welko's hands, this could be a lot of fun on Thanksgiving Day.
You know, one of the things, and having had an opportunity to watch Mike Welko play this year, one of the things I can tell you is, number one, he runs a great route. And whether you know he's going to get the ball or not, he's a tough kid to defend. And he, along with Keith Coleman, have worked all summer long. They're not only very talented on the field, but they're good friends off the field. They went to camps together. They throw back and forth all the time, and it makes all the difference in the world. You're looking at a kid that knows how to get himself loose. I'm a little bit older, Ray Berry, who ran such outstanding routes, and it didn't matter if you knew that Unitas was going to throw to him. He knew how to get himself open. That's the kind of kid that Mike Welko is.
Well, it should be a lot of fun, because if Easton runs the football like they usually do, Brian Pipparata and Justin Lockhart are the guys that come to the forefront. It matches up maybe the Phillipsburg passing attack against the Easton running attack. Traditionally, that's the way this game could be built on Thanksgiving Day.
And, you know, one of the neat things is the fact that you never really know. And, again, we talked about the surprise elements when you're at the end of the season. And, of course, you always got those little gadget plays. You never can tell. We've seen teams already come up with a no-huddle. We've seen teams come up and they'll go to a 2-minute drill early on in the ballgame. You never know what might come out and what might happen on Thanksgiving Day at Fisher Field. 10:30 is game time. We invite you to watch it right here on TV60.
You also had a chance to visit some of the schools and pick up some insights on both schools, didn't you?
You know, it was interesting because one of the neat things about going out on location with the schools and meeting the teams and their coaches at practice is that it's a lot more relaxing for them. It's an environment in which the coaches are comfortable, the kids are comfortable, rather than bringing them to the studio. And that's exactly what we did, Mick. We went out onto the location and we talked to some of the key ball players and the coaches of both squads.
Standing in the halls of Phillipsburg High School in the rich tradition of football and what it means to the community, I'm standing with Mr. Ken Lutz, the principal. Mr. Lutz, what does it mean to you to be a part of this whole thing, and how does it affect the community?
Art, I'm only pleased to have you here at Phillipsburg High School, and what it means to Phillipsburg High School and the community is that we're up to Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving only means one thing in Phillipsburg, the Easton Phillipsburg football game.
It's been around a long time, and you've had the opportunity to see a lot of games and a lot of kids grow up. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great because if anything, win, lose, or draw, that game brings out the character of the players and everyone associated with it. And over the years that I've been associated with it, the game itself is great when they're playing, but all the peripheral items that go on before and after the game is just as important as the game.
Now that pulls together a lot of the other kids in different areas of the school, whether it be all the sports. I mean, everybody gets involved in this tradition for Thanksgiving.
I always said this, as the principal of Phillipsburg High School, we could play Easton High School at the Delaware River in the game of Tiddlywinks. And just that alone would bring a crowd from both sides of the river.
Well, we really appreciate being a small part by bringing this to television. But, you know, in watching all of the things that go on around the school and with the kids, you know, we can feel the real spirit of camaraderie. Do you see that occur a lot in the halls as it gets closer to Thanksgiving?
If you would come next Monday, I guarantee you, just walking in the front door, you'll feel the vibrations of the spirit and the tradition of Easton and Phillipsburg.
Well, we wish you the best in your future, and thanks for joining us on this program.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for coming.
Standing in the halls of Phillipsburg High School with Mike Hughes, the athletic director, and Mike, you know, around this time of the year, Thanksgiving, it means a lot of different things to the kids, to yourself, the traditions. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what it means to you as an athletic director.
Well, this is an exciting part of the year for our student body and our staff and our community, as we got a number of activities going on. Starting this week, the cheerleaders from Easton will be coming over and practicing cheerleading, getting ready for the game. Our bands will be getting together with the Easton band and having our annual ritual of the bands having a dance party before the game. This way the kids get to know each other a little bit outside of the friendly competition that goes on in the football field. We'll have our pep rally, our student pep rally. We'll be decorating the halls in school, and all the kids get involved. Our faculty gets involved, and it's really a nice time of year. It's an exciting part of the year at Phillipsburg High School.
It goes way beyond football, doesn't it? Even though it's a football game taking place, it goes way beyond it in the sense that different sports, and you can feel the camaraderie.
Oh yeah, our whole student body gets excited about it. Our cheerleaders, they began planning several weeks ago the pep rally. Our booster club gets involved, and our Garnet boosters, who have been so good to us, we have a community pep rally sponsored by them. Our other athletic teams, of course, we're not playing at Thanksgiving, but even though we moved into the Skyline Conference this year, we were able to continue the rivalry with Easton, and it's just a special competition that transcends all our sports.
You know, you're involved in a lot of different avenues in what you do. What's some of the exciting things that have been happening for you as an athletic director?
Well, this year, moving into the Skyline Conference enabled us to become totally involved as a school, and myself as an athletic administrator in the total New Jersey component. This year, we're going to make our first appearance in the New Jersey State Football Playoffs, which is exciting for our community and our student body, that we're going to now be on equal footing with all the other schools in New Jersey. And all our other sports have enjoyed a lot of success this year. Our field hockey team reached the sectional finals. Our cross-country team had a lot of improvement as the year went on. And it was really a nice to have our kids competing equally with the same rules and regulations as all other student athletes in New Jersey. As you know, in the past, we had to use sort of mix and match with the East Penn Conference and the Pennsylvania rules and New Jersey rules. But this year, for the first time, we were doing things equal with all other New Jersey schools, and I think our kids and our parents have really enjoyed the New Jersey experience.
Just in closing, let's leave everybody thinking again about the rich tradition of Thanksgiving, and what do you want to leave the community thinking about as we approach the game?
Well, I think the one thing I leave the community with is that Thanksgiving is a special time of year. I hear from former students and former athletes from all over the country, and it's more than the game. It's my definition of community is the Easton Phillipsburg game. We have communities come together, and after that football game, we enjoy our dinners, our families, and it's a nice time to renew friendships, and I hope it goes on for another 90 years.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And welcome back to the set. You know, one of the things 2 years ago that happened on the football field was a tie ball game. And what if that comes up this year? You know, the PIAA has instituted their own tiebreaker procedures. The state of New Jersey has their own tiebreaker procedures. Mick Meininghoff, let's speculate. And we'll find out. We'll know for Thanksgiving morning. But what about it? What happens if this one ends in a tie?
Well, we saw the one overtime game with Easton. In PIAA rules, you get the football from the 10-yard line and four plays to score, kick a field goal, whatever. In Jersey, you get the ball at the 25-yard line and the chance to continue the drive, get the first down until you score. So I guess since Easton would be the home team this year, that you'd play by PIAA rules, and it would be 4 plays from the 10.
It would only make sense. And I know that a tie is not something that either team wants to see at the end of regulation, but hey, who knows? You know, it's also interesting, and let me just bring this up real quick, and that is the situation that has occurred in the state of Pennsylvania with respect to proceeding from your district to inter-district play. Now, this year it did not affect Easton. And on the New Jersey side, there is no district or inter-district play or sectional play on Thanksgiving Day weekend. But in the state of Pennsylvania, that's another story. And there are 2 teams that it does have an effect on. That's Stroudsburg and East Stroudsburg, playing for a District 11 championship, then scheduled to play again on Thanksgiving Day, with the winner going on to play on Friday night. And all I can tell you is that we checked with the PIAA right before going on the air, and they said, we know it's a problem. We know we're going to have to deal with it. We've sent several options to the schools, and perhaps it's a situation that Easton could find themselves in down the road. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, just in that regard, I said they ought to play that game on Thanksgiving Day, forget the prelim, make it for all the marbles, and just go from there.
If I could just have that repeated one more time, I want to tell you, this makes all the sense in the world. Take the district games that would normally be on Friday night. They've already established that most district championships are to be played on Friday night, so why not play the first round of inter-districts on Thursday? Call it a Thanksgiving Day game. It'll be at a neutral site, but it should draw an outstanding crowd, and that simply means that the team that moves on the next weekend will have 1 additional day of practice. Mick Monninghoff came up with the idea. It works.
I'll tell you what, in Jersey, though, they got around it. You're not going to want to hear this. They take the Thanksgiving week off. So if Phillipsburg falls, well, if they had, just like now, they have a Thanksgiving Day game, they wouldn't play again if they win their first round state playoff game until December the 2nd. Maybe PIAA should listen to that too. But Roger had a chance to go out and talk to some of the players and coaches over at Phillipsburg. The first guy he had a chance to talk to was Mike Lelko.
Mike Lelko has been setting all kinds of records here for the State Liners, and I understand your brother was pleased that you kept it in the family. You broke his record for most catches in a season.
Yep, as long as he's a fan, that's all he said when I broke the record. So, like, I don't know what else to say, but I've been working hard to get that. That's my goal.
Mike, do you pattern yourself after anybody? I watched you play last weekend, and I happened to notice that you looked an awful lot like an old person that I used to enjoy watching him play, Raymond Berry, and I know you worked really hard to get open. Anybody you pattern yourself after?
Nah, I just try to work as hard as I can. I set goals and stuff like that. And my goal for the season was to be my brother's record, and I came out and accomplished that. So I'm just gonna keep on going, and I just do my parent as hard as I can and just try to get open.
Tell us about this Easton Phillipsburg game coming up here on Thursday. It's got to be a big thrill for you to play.
I've been waiting like my whole life just to play in this game, and I can't believe it. I'm a senior now. It's going to be the last time I get to play in a game, and yeah, it's going to be a good game. So I'm looking forward to it this year.
What about the community support that you guys get? Everybody's behind this one, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think in the community, it's a great community to play in because even home games, we get a lot of people and everybody supports us. But when we go to play Easton, I mean, that's a real big game, and I think the whole town is just about over there supporting us and everything. So I like to thank the town for that. But
how'd you enjoy playing over at Cottingham Stadium instead of here at Maloney Field this year?
It was okay. I mean, I guess I really didn't think about it. I really didn't hate the first couple of games or anything until maybe the end of the season. You kind of thought about when we played our last home game. Wish it was over here. We could have played it.
Mike, you got plans out of school when this year is done and the football season's done and the basketball season's done? What lies ahead?
In the spring, I'm going to start lifting for college and go to college and go to school and try to play football there wherever I go.
Hey, listen, I've enjoyed watching your work this year. Looking forward to seeing you here on Thursday.
All right, thanks a lot, sir.
Okay, Mike Lelko.
So you heard from Mike Lelko, and Roger, he is a special kind of athlete.
You know, he's such a good kid. As I had mentioned before, he runs such good routes, and he and Keith Coleman have worked together, and each knows exactly what the other player is going to do. One of the keys to a successful passing game, and one of the keys to anybody who is breaking records, and by the way, it was his brother's records that he broke, one of the keys is the fact that you know where the other person's going to go, you know exactly when he's going to cut and where, and you also help to bail your quarterback out if he's ever in trouble.
But that's got to be awful. I mean, when you think about it, double coverage from Easton is going to be all over him. He's accounting for 49% of the Phillipsburg offense.
That's amazing, isn't it, when you do that? But, you know, I think sometimes a good coach will take the strengths that he has on the team, and he will mold his plan plan for the season around the kids that he has. A lot of times, coaches that aren't as successful try to get the kids to adapt to the coach's plan as opposed to the coach going with the strengths that the kids bring to his team. And I think that's what Bruce Smith has done here. You know, on a side note, Bruce Smith, who is from Nanticoke, Pennsylvania, and in Nanticoke, the people up there and his families, they just can't believe how these communities get caught up in this Thanksgiving Day rivalry between Easton and Phillipsburg. They say, "What are you nuts? You should be off. You should be home with the family eating turkey." He says, "You don't understand what this game is about." It's really interesting, and it's kind of nice when you're able to be involved. And I know that we're glad that we're able to bring you the game here on TV60 and hope that we've already become part of your Thanksgiving Day tradition.
Another player who's been around for 3 years on the offensive line is Jared Hoshback, and Roger had a chance to speak with him as well.
Back, you're the guy that has the main job of getting the ball, first of all, to Keith Coleman, and then to make sure that he has some good protection, as you guys have been known to throw the ball a couple of times.
Yes, if we protect Keith, usually he'll get the ball to the receiver, and that's a big part of our offense is our passing game. So as long as the line does the job, we have a lot of confidence in Keith.
Does Phillipsburg actually use the pass to set up the run?
Well, yeah, most teams use the run to set up the pass, right. But us, on the other hand, we use the pass to set up the run.
Can you tell me a little bit about your role on the team? You were sent over here by Bruce Smith because he felt that you're one of the team leaders. You got to be glad to be in that spot.
Yes, I'm one of the captains for this year, one of the four, me, Keith, Mike, and Justin Sammer. And this season's our last season. This is our last shot at Easton, so it's real important to us, this game.
What do you see as the key here for the game on Thursday?
We got to control the line of scrimmage, I think. I think that's the key to most games, as it's been in the past. And last year, unfortunately, we couldn't. But this year, we hope to turn things around.
You looking for a little bit of revenge this year?
Definitely. That's our key motive, is revenge.
And what's the attitude of the team coming in here?
We're up for the game. I mean, seniors, we've never beaten Easton. We tied them my sophomore year, but we've never beaten them. And this is our last chance.
That was a great game. You saw that one here on TV60. And, of course, last year I think a lot of people expected Phillipsburg to win, so perhaps a score to settle.
Yes, definitely. Easton's definitely coming into the game as a favorite this year, but we're looking to pull the upset, I guess.
Jared, take a look down the road. What lies ahead? Are you planning on playing at the next level?
Yes, definitely. I'm definitely going to go to college, hopefully somewhere in the Patriot League or Ivy League. I'm looking forward to that.
And Jason, we'd like to wish you good luck, and thanks for stopping by here on TV60.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, Jared Hoshback.
Tells you if Hoshback is looking to go to the Patriot League or the Ivy League, then he's got the smarts upstairs.
Yes, indeed, he does. You can tell a very bright kid and speaks well and carries himself very well, as has been the case with many of the ball players that we've talked to. You know, one of the things that you always look at on the field is someone's athletic ability, but a lot of these kids not only are good on the field, they are very good in the classroom, and that makes a tremendous difference. A lot of doors and a lot of possibilities.
You know, the other thing he touched on is the urgency for the Peaburg seniors to get a win over Easton.
You know, that's one of the things that would make it. When you're talking about your career, I'm sure that, like in many other areas, there are certain things that when you're able to carry them out, when you're able to accomplish them, you forget about everything else. But you remember the win over Easton. If you came back and said, well, you know, do you remember who you had in fourth period for English? You'd probably have to think about it. Or if you said, you know, do you remember who you sat next to? You probably would have to think about it. But what happens is, if you beat Easton,
you become a legend.
You remember it for a long, long time. You're right, you become a legend. And I think people remember also the players and the teams that were special in terms of the things that they did. And many times they are the players and the guys that get talked about for a long, long time after, as the memory of this game just continues and carries on and on.
Justin Sammer, another captain for the State Liners, coming off that leg injury. Let's get his take on the Easton-Peaburg game for 1995.
Thanksgiving Day is a special day for a lot of families in Justin Sammer. Justin, I understand you've been coming to this game since you were just a tyke.
Yes, my family, my dad, my uncle, we used to come to this game ever since, I was 6, 7 years old. And, my mom's starting to go now that I'm playing, and my grandmothers and my aunts, they always watch it on TV, and, it's a big thing, everybody watches it.
Share with us what goes through your mind when you come out of the locker room at the Fisher Fieldhouse over there at Fisher Field. You come out of the Kirby Fieldhouse, you come out onto the field, and you look up and you see all of those people that are going to be there on Thursday.
It's amazing. You really can't get the true effect until you actually stay out in the field. I mean, the people that have never played, it's amazing. You come out in the field and you don't hear the usual claps like you do at the usual games. I mean, it's just like a roar from the crowd. It's just amazing. It's an unbelievable feeling.
It's almost a college atmosphere. You looking forward to playing at the next level?
Yes, definitely. But, like Coach Smith usually says to us, no matter where we're going to go, we don't have anybody on this team that's going to go to Notre Dame or anything like that. So it's never going to be like it is at high school, and especially the Easton Peaburg game.
What has your opportunity to play high school football, what has that meant to you, and what do you see yourself taking out of the game that you're going to take into your life as you continue beyond high school?
The thing I see me taking out of the game is, the sportsmanship and, other things that come out of football, such as, being a leader. I'm the captain this year, so, being a leadership, and that also helps me in, the school and everything like that.
Justin, you play tailback. This is a team that's been known to throw the ball on occasion. And it's almost, we were joking a little bit earlier about Phillipsburg using the pass to set up the run. What do you think?
Running's been, it hasn't been our bright spot so far this year, but it's kind of hard, especially for me, to step in someone like Joe Luke's shoes from last year. It's kind of a little pressure put on me, but, the passing game's been working, so, it doesn't bother me at all that we're more of a passing team.
Joe Luke and Leonard Moore both doing an outstanding job up at Lafayette. It'd be nice to follow in their shoes, huh?
Definitely. They're excellent running backs, and they're doing really well at Lafayette, and, they're doing really well.
If you would give us your outlook, and how do you see this one shaping up here on Thursday? What's your best take on the game?
Easton's a tough team. I've seen them play a couple times this year, and, they are a tough team, but I think, it doesn't matter what the records are going into this game. You can never predict the score or anything like that. Just the emotions flow so much, it can go either way.
Justin, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
And good luck to you.
Thanks.
That guy's got a future in politics, don't you think?
Yes, our jobs could be in jeopardy, too. This is a kid who speaks very well. You can tell he's a very bright young man, and certainly handles himself well beyond being a senior in high school. Most people don't realize how tough it is to step up and to do an interview like that, and he certainly handled himself well. And it'll show you that Bruce Smith has some very smart kids to work with, and that is an advantage to him many times on the football field.
And Justin Sammer didn't upset anybody on one side of the river, and he gave a lot of hope to the people on the other. So he's doing his job. Bruce Smith is straight ahead as we get his take on the Easton Peaburg game for 1995.
Well, there are a lot of great traditions in football. Army-Navy game, yeah, but then you also got to remember there's some great high school traditions, too, and one of them, the Easton Phillipsburg game, and there's always a lot of pressure on this one, Bruce. It's kind of like Army-Navy. If you're Army and you beat Navy, it makes your season regardless of your record or vice versa, and that really comes down to being the same type of feeling here for this one.
Yeah, exactly. Last year was a perfect example. We were 9-1 going into it, and they were struggling. They were 7-4, something like that, and they kicked our behinds pretty good, and I'm sure that helped make their season. They ended up with a winning record, and we ended up at 9-2. But I tell you what, you talk to our seniors from last year's team, and I'm sure they'd trade 7 or 8 of those wins for a win over Easton. We just didn't get things our way last year, and this year, we're struggling. We're 4-3 right now. And Easton, they're having an outstanding year, and they're playing better and better each week. And I think a win against Easton would help make our season. We're not satisfied with 4-4 or 5-4 or 6-4, something like that. We want to have at least 7-3 record, 8-3, whatever's possible. And a win over Easton go a long way.
Bruce, when you're looking at the matchups in this particular year coming out here, how do you see the matchups across the line? Phillipsburg's still looking for some of the big guys.
Yeah, we are. Unfortunately, but we've lost a couple kids in Corey Thomas, Steve Gursky, a couple 230, 240 pounders, that are tight end and a tackle. But we had a couple good kids to put in there. They've done a commendable job. Chris Johnson has done a good job at tackle. A lot of teams would wish they, if they lost somebody 250, they had somebody 6'4", 50-50 to throw in there. We did, and Chris is a young kid, and he's coming along, and we have a couple other kids who stepped in for Corey Tom at tight end, but, we probably don't match up with Easton real well, unfortunately. I mean, they got, along the line of scrimmage, they're always excellent. I mean, I think that was the biggest difference in last year's football game. This year, we're not quite as big and physical as we have been in, some past years. The biggest difference I see between our football team and Easton's is the speed factor. They have Holmes and Lockhart, and we don't have anybody. But I tell you what, it's always a good football game, regardless of what you see in the paper.
You got a great kid here in Mike Lelko, who broke his brother's Ron's his pass catching record here at Phillipsburg, and Keith Coleman able to go up top to get the ball to him. And does this come down to a matter of him being able to shake loose? He runs some great patterns.
Yeah, he does, and he's got some great hands, and we just, to this point we've been so one-dimensional, though, and that's kind of hurt his chances, about getting him the football. I mean, the last two teams have really clamped down on us, with the passing game, and have tried to take Michael away from us somewhat, and then, of course, losing Corey at tight end, that doesn't help either, because he would catch some balls for us, too. But we got Hinkle we can go to also, in some clutch situations. But, we have to be able to run the football against Easton, and that's something you look back a couple years ago when we had the McNamee kid and the Lelko's brother. I mean, we couldn't throw the ball, and they stopped our running game with 4 people on the line of scrimmage, and we can't let them do that this year. We look for the same thing from Easton this year, the same type of defensive schemes, but we have to prove to them that we can run the football when we want to.
Bruce, this really comes down to a great event for both communities, the communities of Phillipsburg and Easton.
Oh, it is. It's a tremendous tradition. I mean, it's a great rivalry, and it's not, punctuated with fights or bad feelings or anything like that. I mean, it's just a great event. It's more than a football game. It's hard to describe it to people. My family thinks I'm nuts. I'm not being from the area, and they of course are up in their own little world up there in the coal regions, and you try to tell them what it's like, and it's just impossible for them to understand what we go through here. And I mean, it is great that the communities have, this to share in, and it's just something that's very special, I know, to Easton and to Phillipsburg.
One of the main reasons for high school athletics is to rally the community behind a common cause and get them united, and certainly that takes place here. If I could change the subject for a minute, you got to feel real good about a couple of guys off last year's team that are doing a great job right here at Lafayette in the terms of Leonard Moore and Joe Luke.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's why I coach. I know that's why the guys on my staff coach. I mean, it's to help the kids, become successful in life, at the next level, whether it be college or a job or whatever. And you look at kids like Joe Luke and Leonard Moore. I mean, they're having great years, on the football field, but they're also having great years, in the classroom too. And we have other kids that went to school. Timmy Flynn is down at James Madison. He's wrestling, but again, he's tearing it up in the classroom. We got kids up in junior colleges. Keith Johnson went to Lackawanna Junior College. He's doing a good job up there. And we have other kids. Jimmy Gardner went to Bloomsburg. It's not just people who went local.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the bottom line. I mean, if they're having good football years, fine. But the important thing is they're getting their degree and they're going to be good people.
Bruce, congratulations on a great season this year, and good luck on Thursday.
Thanks, Roger.
Bruce Smith, the head coach of the State Liners of Phillipsburg.
He mentioned it really succinctly. Easton does have the advantage in team speed in this ball game.
There's not a question, and they really do. Justin Lockhart, very quick. You're talking about kids like Lee Holmes. You've seen he was able to close the gap if anybody happened to get through the line of scrimmage on defense, and Easton does have the edge in terms of quickness.
Well, sometimes it comes down to quarterback play, and the quarterback this year is Keith Coleman for the State Liners.
Well, Keith Coleman, I know as a youngster, you used to come out, you used to watch this Easton Phillipsburg Thanksgiving Day football game, and you used to put yourself on the field, didn't you? You could picture yourself playing there. How do you feel now that you are?
Well, I used to come to the game, and I used to just look down the field and be like, wow, I wish I could be one of them guys down there. And, now I'm kind of in the spotlight on the field. It's a great feeling. It's what I always wanted.
And when you come out here as a senior playing in your final game, what goes through your mind? You come out here and, well, you guys still may have a playoff game down the road yet. That still remains to be seen. But when you come out here, what goes through your mind when you come out of the doors here at the field house and you enter the field?
There's a lot going through your mind. It's your senior game. You want to make a lot happen. You don't want to make any mistakes. You just want to remember this game for all being good. And, sometimes you try too hard, and, but you always, it's this kind of game where you want to make a lot happen.
Keith, you have a guy that you've been throwing to all season long, Mike Lelko. He set a number of records for the most passes caught in a game and in a season, breaking his brother's record, which is always nice. But you got to know that the guys on the other side of the line are going to be coming after you here on Thursday.
Yeah, definitely. Me and Mike, we hooked up a lot of times this year. and that's what a lot of teams look at now. They know we have a passing game. It's me and Mike, and they got to shut that down, and they're going to definitely be coming after us.
Who calls the plays? You call the plays on the field? Do you get them from the sideline?
We get them from the sidelines. If we see something that we think will work, we'll tell Coach Quinn that's what we want to run, and sometimes he'll run it, and we go from there.
Do you have an option to check off?
Not on every play. There's certain plays where we do have audibles I can check off.
And when you're throwing to Mike, we had talked about that just a little bit ago here. You guys worked out over the summer, and tell me about the chemistry between the two of you.
We worked hard all summer long. We went to a camp together, and everything we did related with football over the summer, we were together. We worked real hard, and it's just like we're like all in tune together. Since we work so hard, I know what he's going to do, and he knows what I'm going to do, and I think that's why it came out to be a good season.
You guys friends off the field as well?
Yeah, we're best friends off the field.
That always makes it kind of nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That means you could go out in the backyard and play a little bit of toss the football.
Yeah.
Okay, Keith Coleman, listen, good luck to you here come Thursday, and you've provided the Phillipsburg fans with an awful lot of thrills, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Keith Coleman.
Well, we've heard from the Phillipsburg side. Now it's time to hear from the Easton side. Real quick footnote, if Coleman passes for 319 yards in the remaining games, he will pass Jeff Quinn, his quarterback coach, as far as being the all-time yardage leader for quarterbacks at Phillipsburg.
That'd be nice.
It would be nice. Art Cardos had a chance to go over and visit Easton. Let's hear from the administration for the Red Rovers.
In the tradition of Easton football and Thanksgiving Day, I'm standing at Easton High School with Mrs. Connie Mazza, the principal. Thanks for joining us, and tell us a little about what it means to Easton this time of the year and the traditions in the community.
Well, the Easton Phillipsburg Thanksgiving Day game is a tradition that started many, many years ago and now involves not only the community but the student body as well as the athletes, members of the booster clubs, and the citizens from both communities.
It really is an exciting time, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is one of the most fun times at Easton Area High School.
Brings the community together, the kids together, and one of the things we've noticed that there's a cooperative spirit that seems to really dominate around the school.
Absolutely. This is one time when the senior class works together, whether they know each other or not, collecting wood, preparing the bonfire, and ultimately preparing this for the entire community to enjoy and participate in.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy the activities as much as we do.
In the tradition of Easton football and around Thanksgiving Day, many, many wonderful things occur at the high school and a lot of cooperation, as we've said. What else happens that we might be able to talk about here during this time of the year?
2 weeks before the actual game, we have sign-ups for the seniors to collect wood for our bonfire, which occurs the night before the Thanksgiving Day game. And we also have the seniors signing up for what is known as the sleep out. The reason is they sleep out after a day of wood collecting and to guard the wood from any opposing teams who may come by and try to sabotage that. And then we have another day of wood collecting to make the bonfire the biggest and best bonfire in the area.
Many kids get involved in all these aspects, don't they?
Yes, this is an opportunity for all of the staff and the entire student body to get united behind one cause. The Thanksgiving Day game is a big event for all of us. It's a lot of fun at Easton High School. We have a big pep rally the day before the game, during which all the fall sports personnel are honored, and the coach talks, and we have some teachers and students involved in various activities, and it really gets the whole school in the mood for what's about to transpire.
Other than the bonfire, what are some of the aspects of this time of the year that really excite the kids?
The community gets psyched. The community is absolutely into this and has been for many, many years. People that have played football on some of the earliest football teams, and football teams 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s come back to see this game. They come home. It's our homecoming, you might say. And it's a community effort, and it's a sense of community happens at the school, where we have the fall sports all get together. We see our championship tennis team and our championship band and our swimming team. We bond together for the common goal, which I think is the spirit of Easton High School.
I think Easton High School has looked forward to this every year. It wouldn't be the same without it, would it?
No, it would definitely be a loss if this tradition could no longer continue. For one thing, and I hope I speak for all the people of Easton, we have a deep respect for the Phillipsburg High School and the community there also. These are two teams who come together year after year with their homegrown talent, kids who have grown up in this area, and here's their chance to be a big star for a day. And people never forget what happens at the Thanksgiving Day game, and people never forget what happened to these kids who take part in it also.
We just want to say that in this keeping with all the spirit of what goes on at Thanksgiving, Easton High School represents tradition not only in Easton but in America. And it's a great thing to see as people come together with this cooperative spirit.
And of course, Easton High School, the bonfire over there, what a great tradition that is, along with everything else that goes along with part of the Thanksgiving Day tradition at Easton High School. And truly, again, this is one of the things that captures the entire imagination of the entire Lehigh Valley. Well, you know, the pressure falls upon two guys, Bruce Smith over at Phillipsburg, we've heard from him, and Steve Schiffert over at Easton High School. Steve Schiffert had these thoughts as he talked with me prior to the start of Thanksgiving Day festivities.
Well, when you're talking about Thanksgiving Day and you're talking about Easton Phillipsburg on the football field, Steve Schiffert, it turns into one outstanding event for the people of both of these fine communities.
Right. It never grows old, I'll tell you that. Every year is just as exciting as the previous year, if not more exciting.
Steve, in terms of the kids, is this something special to them? Obviously it is.
For any kid that's grown up in either community, it's something they strive to be a part of. I don't care if you're a member of the football team, the marching band, or the student body, it's something everyone looks forward to.
Now, I know in your playing days it was Nazareth and Wilson, but now you're right across the street here from Wilson, and it's Easton and Phillipsburg. This got to hold special meaning for you as well, because I know this has been a great part of the Lehigh Valley's football tradition on Thanksgiving Day for many years.
I consider myself pretty fortunate to be from a school that lost their tradition and to be at a school now that is very willing to continue that tradition. It just means so much to the kids. It's so special, and it's something I look forward to as much as the kids.
Steve, describe the mood in the school during this past week here leading up to Thanksgiving.
Oh, God, there's so many things going on. It's hard to describe, but there's such enthusiasm from the kids. It pulls the whole community together as far as the school and so forth, and it's a great time for the senior class because they get some extra privileges, and they probably get to meet kids they haven't met all year and make even more friendships than they have the previous 2 years at the school.
This bonfire is second to none.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's no room for marshmallows. But it's a great event. The kids work hard for it, and they enjoy it, and it's something I think every high school senior should get to enjoy.
Steve, in terms of the game here this week coming up on Thursday, how do you see this one shaking down? Last year, perhaps you were coming in as the underdog. This year, perhaps you are the favorite.
Well, if we learned anything in the last 2 years, it doesn't pay to be the underdog in this ball game. It's just such a magnitude that it doesn't make any difference what the records are. You know kids are going to play way over their head, play their best ball game of their life, and that's the way it goes every year.
Steve, who are the guys who are going to have to step up if you're going to come away from here today with a win?
I don't think it's any one individual. We're just going to have to play well as a team. It takes 11 kids on every play. You can't look for one kid to carry the load. Everybody's got to participate.
How do you see your strong suit?
I would think right now it's probably our team speed. We may have a little advantage in speed over Phillipsburg, and we got to be able to get to the outside and run.
Steve, we want to wish you good luck and looking forward to Thursday.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Steve Schiffert.
Well, the Easton coach says team speed is their advantage, but I'll tell you what, all the pressure comes down to one position. It's always the quarterback. Kyle Geiger fields that position for the Easton Red Rovers.
Well, in the quarterback spot for Easton, number 4, Kyle Geiger. Kyle, I know as many kids that grow up in the Easton Phillipsburg area, this is a game that you look forward to from the time that you're a youngster, don't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is one of the biggest careers at Easton. It's definitely one of the biggest games I look forward to.
Now, you've been on the field before here. When you walk out onto the field at Thanksgiving Day, what goes through your mind? It's got to be a thrill.
It's unbelievable the amount of people that come to see this game. You step out there as a sophomore. I stepped out there and I didn't believe the crowd that was there. But once you start playing, you put the crowd behind you and you just play the football game.
What is Thanksgiving by way of tradition on the tradition side? What does it look like at your house?
It's the biggest tradition we can think of. I had brothers playing this game and uncles, and it's real big in my family.
Kyle, what are you looking forward to out of school? What's down the road for you? Continue to play at the next level?
Yes, hopefully I'll play at the next level. I'm looking at a couple of colleges to play at, possibly Division III.
And give us your take on the ball game here coming up on Thursday, Easton Phillipsburg at Fisher Field. What does it look like from your perspective?
Well, they're a tough team. They have a real good passing game. We just hope they contain their passing and pound them, try to score.
Now, last year you guys had to be the underdog, and you came away with a big win out here. And this year, perhaps the roles are reversed. You're the favorite. What do you think?
Well, you can look at it that way, but we try not to look at it that way. We just come into it and play games like we always play them, tough, and just look ahead at one game.
Okay, Kyle, thanks a lot. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Kyle Geiger.
Geiger has to do it on both sides of the football. He plays linebacker, too. But you had a chance to talk to one of the speed burners from the Easton Red Rovers, didn't you?
Hey, Lee Holmes, we saw in some of the highlights from last season, this is a kid that can get out there and close the gap and close the difference. He can take an angle on you on defense. He can get into your backfield in a hurry, into your secondary in a hurry. Well, Lee Holmes has a lot of speed.
For Thanksgiving Day, got to be special to the guys in the classrooms and in the halls. Lee Holmes, what's it like?
Oh, it's hectic in there, you know. Everybody wants you to win. You know, your classmates don't want to accept a loss. They're always saying, you better beat Phillipsburg or else, you know. They always want you to win. They stand behind you, too.
And obviously they come out and they support you. What do you think about this great bonfire that we have out here this week?
It's great. There's a lot of fan support, a lot of students. Students are get real active for the Phillipsburg game. They love the Phillipsburg game. That's what I think everybody's there for, the Phillipsburg game.
Lee, as you take a look at this game, as you were a youngster coming up, did you dream of playing in it?
Yeah, I always dreamed about playing in it. Like scoring big, winning a game in the Phillipsburg game. That's like one of the biggest things.
Now listen, last year Easton came in a bit of an underdog.
Yeah.
And it looked like Phillipsburg had everything that they needed to win. This year perhaps those roles are reversed. How do you feel?
Well, last year I feel that we just didn't come together real soon. Like last year I think we were a real good team. It took a while for us to all come together because we had a lot of new people coming in starting. And once we got all together, then we were all right. And this year we seem like we're together and we're on a roll now.
Do you prepare for this game differently than you do the regular season games?
Yeah, we prepare a little bit differently. Everybody gets real hyped up for the game. You know, everybody's real psyched. We practice harder. Everybody runs harder.
Lee, what's down the road for you? What happens out of school?
I plan on going to college. You know, I got a couple colleges looking at me right now. Then I plan on going D1, D1A, or D1AA.
I want to wish you well. I understand there's a guy that we know in common here. He was your freshman coach, Roy Cortez.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a character, maybe.
Yeah, he is, definitely. He was one of my favorite coaches. I like being down there with him. He always loved hitting and everything. Loved that, so.
Let me tell you, he didn't change from the time that he was a kid growing up.
I know. We went down one of his practices the other day. He loves the intensity drill. Have one guy lined up in the middle, put two lines, hit him, then you're going to hit that guy. There's like 10 guys you got to go through. Sometimes it has a whole team at you.
I'm glad he didn't forget it.
I know.
Lee, listen, good luck to you here on Thursday, and looking forward to seeing you play.
All right, thanks.
Okay, Lee Holmes.
Well, last year we talked about Leonard Moore and Joe Luke being the featured backs. One of the featured backs in this ballgame is another bruising kind of runner who has some speed as well, and that's Justin Lockhart for the Easton Red Rovers.
Many of the others, Justin Lockhart, this has been a game that you have enjoyed as a youngster, and you came through and you too dreamed of playing in the Easton Phillipsburg game on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I did. It's something that I always dreamed about, and I always wanted to score in the Easton Phillipsburg game when I got older because I felt I'd be able to play there in high school. So I want to see if I can get a couple touchdowns this year and win this game so we can say I never lost to Phillipsburg in my high school career.
There you go. Now, let me ask you a question. A lot of families, for years, this has been the center point of Thanksgiving Day. Has it been true with your family as well?
Yeah. We always come out, watch the Easton Phillipsburg game. You try to find friends and family on the team. You know, whenever you go out and watch, you always root for Easton, you know. Just go out there, enjoy the game, and then go home and eat.
How do you enjoy the week before the game? Here we are Sunday night. You're going to go to school tomorrow morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in school. It's got to be a special time for you. How's the atmosphere different?
Well, in school, the students are a lot more hyped up, but as a senior, it gets kind of boring because all the other seniors are out collecting wood, and as football players, we're not allowed to go out. So So, I mean, we're in class all day with nobody in there.
Yeah, but just think, if it weren't for you guys, they wouldn't have to be out there collecting all that wood. This is quite a bonfire. You got to enjoy that, too. You guys get to come out on Wednesday night.
Yeah, that's fun. We get to come out, march up there. A couple of guys get to help light it and everything, and we just have a meeting with people come and talk to us and stuff. So
that's as long as nobody lights it ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's been done out here more than once. How do you see this one shaping up on Thursday, Justin?
Well, I feel that we should be able to run on them, and all we have to do is take away their two main threats on offense, and I think we should be able to do very well against them.
Their two main threats being?
Lelko and their quarterback. We get rid of Lelko and we take out their quarterback, I think we can do something against them.
I know this is going to be a good football game, and obviously you know, too, that it's not always the favorite who wins this one.
Yeah, that's true, because as our sophomore year, we thought we were going to come in, going to kick their butt, and we come out with a tie and almost didn't make states.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Yeah. Hey, Justin, what lies ahead here? Look down the road for me just a little bit. Football career down the road for you?
Well, yeah, I hope to go D1 or D1A or D1AA. I have a couple colleges calling me, talking to me and stuff, so hopefully I can play in college.
Hey, listen, we want to wish you good luck.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Justin Lockhart.
That's Justin Lockhart, and I'll tell you what, Buddy Ryan couldn't have said it any better. Just take out the two main guys and kick their butt on Thanksgiving Day.
Hey, if there's one thing you can count on, this is not business as usual. This is not just any football game. We're talking here about the 89th playing of the Easton Phillipsburg game. This is something special. Watch it right here on TV60, Thanksgiving night at 8 o'clock. Nick?
It's going to be a lot of fun. Once again, if Phillipsburg can control the team speed of the Easton Red Rovers, if the Phillipsburg passing attack can get in gear, if the Easton running game is on schedule, it makes for a great day of football right here on TV60. Now for Art Cardos from TV60 and the entire crew, Roger Snyder, I'm Mick Monaghan. Thanks for joining us, and again, see you on Thanksgiving Day. Pleasure to have you right here with us this time, though, on Let's Talk Sports.
WBPH-TV60 849. Proctor Silex 12-cup coffee maker 764.